In the swirling vortex of a chaotic kitchen, 7 brothers clashed in a frenzy of frying pans, sizzling meats, and steaming vegetables. The air was electric with the hum of burners, the clang of pots, and the shouted instructions of a well-oiled machine. Amidst the mayhem, Gene, the eldest brother and master chef, stood tall, his eyes blazing with a fierce determination. But little did anyone know, beneath the surface of his stoic exterior, a storm was brewing. Welcome to BTS/Blackpink fan page. Please, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any updates about your favorite celebrities. As the day wore on, the kitchen grew hotter, the tension thicker, and the brothers' banter more frantic. Gene, ever the perfectionist, drove himself to the limit, refusing to yield even as the clock ticked closer to midnight. His brothers, sensing his fatigue, urged him to take a break, but Gene waved them off, his focus fixed on the culinary masterpiece unfolding before him. The kitchen was a whirlwind of activity, with pots and pans clanging, utensils flying through the air, and the brothers shouting instructions and encouragement. Gene stood at the center of the storm, his eyes darting back and forth as he expertly juggled multiple dishes. But as the hours ticked by, Gene's energy began to flag. His movements slowed, his reactions delayed, and his eyes grew heavy with fatigue. His brothers, sensing his exhaustion, urged him to take a break, but Gene refused, driven by his determination to create the perfect meal. And then, without warning, Gene's world went dark. He felt himself swaying, his legs buckling, his vision blurring. The kitchen around him grew distant, the sounds fading into a dull roar. His brothers, alarmed by his sudden collapse, rushed to his side, their faces etched with worry. "Gene, young! Gene, wake up!" Jimin's voice pierced the air, his hands shaking as he grasped Jin's shoulders. But Gene didn't respond. He lay there, motionless, his chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. The kitchen fell silent, the only sound the soft beeping of the oven timer. The brothers exchanged frightened glances, their minds racing with worst-case scenarios. What if Gene was seriously hurt? What if he couldn't cook again? What if? But as they watched, Jin's eyes flickered open, his gaze unfocused. He groggily sat up, his brothers supporting him as he struggled to regain his footing. I'm fine," Gene muttered, his voice weak but determined. Just need to rest." The brothers breathed a collective sigh of relief as Gene slowly stood up, leaning heavily on Jimin's shoulder. They guided him to the living room, where he collapsed onto the couch, his eyes closing in exhaustion. As the night wore on, the brothers took turns watching over Gene, their concern and worry slowly giving way to relief and gratitude. Jin's collapse had been a wake-up call, a reminder that even the strongest among them needed to take care of themselves. And as Gene slept, his brothers vowed to be more supportive, to encourage him to take breaks and prioritize his health. They knew that Jin's strength and resilience were the backbone of their culinary team, and they were determined to help him maintain that strength. The next morning, Gene woke up feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. He stretched his arms, yawned, and smiled, his eyes sparkling with renewed energy. "Thanks, guys," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I don't know what I would do without you." The brothers smiled, relieved that Gene was back to his old self. They knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges and setbacks, but they were ready to face them together as a team. And Gene, well, he was more determined than ever to push himself to new heights, to create culinary masterpieces that would wow the world. He knew that he couldn't do it alone, but with his brothers by his side, he felt invincible. The kitchen, once a place of chaos and unpredictability, had become a symbol of their bond, their strength, and their resilience. And as they cooked and laughed together, Gene knew that he had found his true recipe for success: his brothers, his passion, and his unyielding determination. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Gene continued to cook and create, his passion and energy inspiring his brothers and fueling their culinary journey. And though the kitchen would always be a place of chaos and unpredictability, Gene knew that with his brothers by his side, he could face anything that came his way. Together, The seven brothers stood strong, their bond and determination forging a culinary empire that would be remembered for years to come. And Gene, the eldest brother and master chef, stood at the helm, his eyes blazing with a fierce determination, his heart filled with gratitude.